All right, let's see if it's time to go. 4 o'clock. Turn off some background music. All right, hello, 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 everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Here we go. Tuesday, election day. Tuesday, election day. Hello, welcome to Sunlight on Chaos. It's Stephen Olivieri. So, hope you guys are having a good day. It's sort of that kind of day where people are in or out, or it's quiet, but this and that, and people are sort of hunkering around, waiting, like what's going on, in these elections, off year elections, but they mean things. Every little thing means things. And oh, let me put my thing up here, and I'm going to get my chat thing going on. Get that going. Bear with me. There it is. All right. So, don't mind me. You guys chatted up today because it's that kind of day. I'm going to bounce around a little bit and talk about different things. It's sort of an off day, right? I know that the big stations are, everyone's all hunkering down into tonight. I know on the West Coast, excuse me, the East Coast, it's already 7 o'clock. So things are starting to ramp up with all of that political music and stuff. And woo, whoop-de-doo, okay. But it is important. So let's get into it. But I'm gonna jump around and feel free to throw something on the chat about anything today. It's that kind of day. So here it comes. Been building up to this. I'm gonna talk about it much in a sense after today, maybe a little bit tomorrow, but not gonna talk about what it could be. Talk about what it is. Because let's hope for a lot of blue skies, blue skies, blue skies, right? That's what we're looking for. If you're on Sunlight on Chaos, and look, I got my little artwork thing over here. Isn't that cool? I didn't know where to put it. I'm gonna have it like down on the bottom once I get all my gear and everything in order. I'll have it like all hip and everything. Get my IT guy to put that up. So anyway, Mikey Sherrill, New Jersey. Mikey Sherrill, New Jersey. Let's see. She's up against Chiarelli. I think he's tried to run for governor 3 times. That's like, or at least two. This is his third time, I think. So is it 3 strikes and you're out? Maybe. Let's hope that's the case. Abigail Spanberger. Okay. Let's see what happens in Virginia. So to Purple State. A little purple there. And we'll see. She seems like she's well ahead, so things are looking good today. So in a way, it's a pretty good day. So Mom Donnie. Well, let's go over with Cuomo and Sliwa. So Trump's Trumpelstiltskin, I call him, is put his weight a little bit. Yeah, he's got the weight, right? He can do it. Put his weight behind Cuomo. Sliwa, he's just dragging out there. People know him from New York. I knew him from when I was in New York. When I lived there, he was always into something. But I don't think he's going to grab it between these two other guys. Unless Trump has some weird Trump effect with Cuomo. Who knows? But looks like Mamdani's just got to keep the peace, keep it cool, keep the balance. I love the freezing of the rent thing. I haven't been able to catch a lot of him, but talk about rent stabilization. Whoa, that's pretty good. I didn't really have that. Of course, there was rent control. There were things back in the 90s, I think. Even back then, it was like people were getting $200, $280 a month. I don't know what the lowest ones are now, but I can dare to say that in the in the late 90s, I got some sick some of you know it, big 1 bedroom apartment for 700 a month. That was for a while, but no feast lasted forever. So, but I was there for 14 years in Manhattan. So that was actually quite a feast, I will say. So, I'll say I digress a lot today. Anyway, uh, something about voting early or voting today, or they tired, convince them to get out. Well, you've hopefully done all the convincing you can do, or maybe you drove somebody or walked with somebody. Don't let any poll, watcher thing assholes, bother. Hopefully nobody bothered anybody today with that. So speaking of it, if anybody's tired, I thought about this. Daylight saving time was just on Sunday. So if you think about it, it's like an hour, it's an hour of jet lag in a way. Because I was getting ready today and I'm like, yesterday I was like, Monday I was all pumped up after the weekend. Today I'm getting ready. It's quiet, election day. I'm like, oh, a little tired. And I'm like, oh, it's like, it's an hour of jet lag. So, it's from here to New York. It's LA to New York. It's 3 hours, and everyone always talks about jet lag. Oh, the jet lag. Oh my God, 3 hours. So today I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so I'm not a big afternoon person. I shouldn't say that, but I think this is a good time to be on, so I'm doing it. And so it's like a 1 hour. So today's today. So now it's 4, but it's really 5. So it's already 5. I'm going to say the show's not over. It's only starting. So I don't think that, the show's not ending. But when it's 5, it'll feel like 6. And then you'll definitely want to have your dinner and do whatever. So here. So anyway, you make up. We're going to do something about time zones in a little bit. So let me just make sure everything is queued up here. Just in case some of you guys are running around and you're like, wait, who is it exactly? I just sort of ran through it. Let's see if they can shed any light on this, because we know it's like a broken record today. That's why I'm going to try not to be a broken record today. So let's hit old clip 1 over here and see what we got.
If you don't understand the rules of power, you are certainly losing
when this happens,
to someone who does.
I'm just going to kill us right now.
Well, the president and the rest of us watching closely the action in these 4 states: New Jersey, New York, Virginia, and California. These key matchups taking the temperature of how voters may lean going into next year's 2026 midterm election. So Democrats hope what happens tonight will be a referendum on the first months of the Trump presidency. In New York City's mayoral race, President Trump has, as Aaron just mentioned, thrown his support behind a former foe, and that's Andrew Cuomo. He wants Cuomo to beat Democrat socialist Zoran Mamdani. Now, Cuomo runs as an independent this time around with Republican Curtis Sliwa. He's still in it to win it, despite a lot of calls that he drop out to try to help Cuomo's chances against Zoran Mamdani. Now, Democrats in New Jersey, they look to see if voters will help them stay in the governor's mansion. The face-off right here, these are the candidates going head-to-head. It's between Representative Mikey Sherrill and former GOP State Representative Jack Ciattarelli, making his 3rd bid for the top spot, by the way. Virginia voters will make history by electing the Commonwealth's first female governor. There's the candidates right there. So Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears not getting, as Aaron just reported, a formal endorsement by President Trump. That's in that head-to-head with former Democratic Representative Abigail Spanberger. Now, on the ballot out west, let's talk about this one. California's answer to Texas Republicans redrawing their congressional maps to try to pick up more Republican seats in Congress for the midterms. Well, enter California's Proposition 50, spurred on by California Governor Gavin Newsom. It asks voters to greenlight a redraw for blue candidates, potentially giving Democrats 5 more seats in Congress, hailing from the state of California.
Okay, so that gives you the, somebody else's little update on it. Yeah, Prop 50 out here. Maybe out here in LA, grew up in New York, but out here is important. Of course, the other ones are today. They're all important. But Texas started the fight first, so we're going to have to level the playing field today. Got to get this through. It looks good. It looks like it's going to go through. So, it better, because there's no reason for them to just, carve out and start redistricting and do all this crap and everything. And what, it just leave us in the dirt and the dust, So I know some people aren't into it, but, it'll get put back into place by an independent council or committee, when the next census starts in 2030. So we got to do what we have to do while we're in the trenches, right? So anyway, so speaking of in the trenches, different odds and ends here. And it's funny, Seth Meyers, who Trump is beginning to really hate, by the way. Seth Meyers and Amy Poehler used to have this thing on Weekend Update. Just one word, really, really. And I do this with a friend out here. You know who you are. And when something really stupid or ridiculous like pops up, we're like, really? So they were good about that. But here's a really. But I think I'm more like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be effing kidding me, man. Christy Nome. Da 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 da. Christy Nome. One, maybe two planes. One, maybe two. What? Yeah. So Gulfstream G700s. So apparently she needs two for her boyfriend, who we don't need to get into right now. You gotta be kidding me. I mean, the Gulfstreams G700s, they're that small, plus, come on. This is the look you want. This is the waist you want to create. Well, good job. If Congress, if you guys can get your act together and shoot that down, just do it. Shoot it down, okay? Because this is just such typical garbage, And I was thinking about this the other day, and just garbage stuff. Like there's just so much garbage flying out of the top of the garbage truck. Just like flying everywhere. So think about this for a second. Think about how messed up this is. Okay, how Trump, does he even know how his own mind works when he opens it? Does he look at the tapes? Apparently he's talking about CBS. He didn't want certain clips. Maybe he could figure it out. But boy, while he's out there on the road, does he just always just say really, really, really irritating, horrible stuff like this. So when he says this thing, I was thinking about this the other day. It's these little things you think about, and then you don't bring up to your friends or on the phone or here. How about here? So I write stuff down, So, for example, when he's talking about Russia and Ukraine, okay, slightly disparate countries in terms of power and force. God bless Ukraine holding up. God bless Ukraine. But he goes, oh yeah, like he's in a street, some schoolyard or something. Like, oh, you got to let them fight it out. So is that the cynical stance to make both of them weaker? Just let them keep fighting. Okay, keep fighting. So, okay, Ukraine, for no good reason, is getting worn down and so many people killed. And Russia's now, they're getting into 1 million troops down, 1 million people leaving his country because he's an asshole. But then, okay, let Russia get weaker in the process. They are having more casualties. But that, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So like Trump says at one point, he says, oh yeah, there was so many people getting killed. 7,000 people getting killed per week. Oh, it's so bad. It's terrible. We got to stop the killing and stop the deaths. Okay, try to speak like an intelligent adult. Try. It's, just the way he talks is so hard to listen to. So think about this. You can't, Trump will still skin wake up. You can't have it both ways. Okay? Sorry. That was an allusion to Rip Van Winkle, but I think he's both. Listen, you can't have it both ways. Okay? You can't say, oh, yeah, let them fight it out. And then you go, oh, but so many deaths and they're killing each other. Well, then that doesn't work with both things happening at the same time. So go in, hook up Ukraine, make sure you're working really tight with Europe. Don't start pulling everything away and moving towards Venezuela like a freak out of nowhere, basically at a whim. No, help Ukraine, back Putin up into a standstill. Call it a day. Enough already. So it's just these weird things that come to me in the middle of the night, I guess, sometimes. Stupid Gulfstream G700s for Kristi Noem, a little hot shot in her little, women's wear daily in front of these prisons. Just garbage all over the place. That's what they put out. Garbage, garbage. I was speaking of Venezuela. So Maduro, so he's speaking out and he's claiming that, this is false narrative. Well, okay, he's not an angel. He's another asshole. Okay, there's the fentanyl issue, but they're also running cocaine out of Venezuela, through Colombia, Venezuela, so on and so forth. You got to think about it. A lot of the fentanyl is being made in Mexico. Okay. And the other big boy in this is China. China's got the precursor chemicals. Okay. They have like tons of them. So they get these precursor chemicals that then get refined and mixed. And it's actually not even that hard, which is another just travesty. It's just tragic that it's not that down there in their little cooking, pressing, and little, shops and labs. It's actually, once they get the precursors, they are coming out with some of them themselves, but they can get them from China. So we have this whole thing we have to deal with China. Trump should be really having maybe more ships out in the Pacific. Okay. Caribbean. Okay. Really? Venezuela. Well, here's just a clip of Mr. Venezuela. And let me just go back here and get it. And let me hold on to this. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
Should people come to the AI Advantage Summit November 6th, 7th, and 8th?
Well, tonight, the president of Venezuela is responding to President Trump's claims that boats from Venezuela are trafficking drugs to the U.S.
6 News anchor Lori Tucker at the live desk for us now with the Venezuelan president's statement. Lori.
Yeah, Bo and Elena, on Friday, President Nicolas Maduro accused President Trump of creating a false narrative to justify an attack on Venezuela.
Yo creo en este momento que las verdades aportadas.
That was just a little bit.
All right. So in any event, sorry, I sort of cut that off early. Sorry, guys.
From the conference, in his address, President Maduro said, quote, fables and stories are created, and all the campaigns that have been waged against the commander, Hugo Chavez, and all the CIA conspiracies against me and our country for 26 years have been based on Hollywood stories and fables where we are always the bad guys, end quote. Maduro's comments come at a time of tension between Venezuela and the U.S. over the deployment of U.S.
All right, you get the idea. So, fables and movies and this and that. Well, a lot of violent movies and pigeonholing everybody else except us, I guess. Except for the movies where the assholes are here. I wonder if they're going to do a movie on Trump one day. So we'll find out. In any event, we don't have to be as cautious with them, I guess, from Trump's point of view, maybe, because unlike China, who has these rare earth minerals, they have oil. But a lot of countries have oil. So, and let me go to, let's see, what are these chemicals? Bear with me. There are like top four rare earth minerals, and I'm sure China has all of them. Let's see: neodymium, cerium, praseodymium, lanthanum, primarily used for magnets, catalytic converters, cameras. Of course, there's lithium. There is some tungsten that we have here, which is also necessary for, military and a lot of other machines and stuff. But, now it's a whole big mess in the Caribbean, right? And again, God bless to Jamaica. Please recover as best as you can. Look at the aid is coming down now. So Venezuela, it's just going to be back and forth. And I think we know a lot of people in the know talk about regime change and in Venezuela. So it's just, there's always one thing sort of like masking another thing, and they're saying fentanyl, they're blowing up the boats, and of course the Democrats are still trying to get to some of that information. Who, what, when, I've spoken about this this week and last week, but so many things with these, let's hope it's not a potential war. I thought he was Mr. Peace, Mr. I don't want to be in the wars forever and ever and ever. And here he goes, just swirling right into Venezuela. Speaking of the wars around the world, again, this is one of those days where we can take a moment and talk about these 7 wars Trump claimed to have ended. Well, we know he didn't just go around chop, chop, chop and just end them all. Okay. And it's so complex, but I'll just give you a roundup because it was bugging me for a while. And I was like, well, what really is going on? I'll just run down this list of these 7. Of course, an 8th would be Israel and Palestine, Gaza. That's it's a fragile house of cards there. But let me start with these other ones like Cambodia and Thailand. They've had like a century-old border dispute, and they'd already agreed to a basic ceasefire themselves. But Trump went down, Mr. Big Shot, and tried to preside over an enhanced ceasefire. So they're already working on their own stuff. He came down and just sort of opened his mouth and, handshake. And of course, they're going to suck up to him. They're small countries. They want to do deals with the United States. Maybe they see him as Mr. Deal guy. Kosovo and Serbia. Don't hear a lot about that, do you? Economic normalization agreement. That's sort of just still in the works, it's not finished. And the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC, and Rwanda. Rwanda's still sort of fighting with these M23 rebels down there. So this couldn't be worse. So he didn't do a lot down there. Again, they're probably looking for rare earth, minerals, and he'll go where the money is. He said he doesn't care about countries like the Republic of Congo and Rwanda. He calls them shithole countries. I mean, please. Now, getting to some larger nuclear capable countries, Pakistan and India. Okay. They were in the middle of figuring their stuff out also. And India denies that Trump really assisted with the ceasefire. He got on the phone. He started jerking back and forth on the phone with India and Pakistan. And so they probably just, all in all, they were getting ready to chill out because, they both have nukes and they don't want to go that far. They could very quickly escalate. So they both decided not to do that. Israel and Iran. Oh, okay. So let's put Israel with Iran. That'll be its own, war, other than Palestine, Gaza, Hamas. I mean, we all hate Hamas. Okay. But Israel and Iran. So Trump really just stepped in. I mean, Netanyahu's been doing his weird shit. Hamas has been doing their horrendous shit. And, obviously Trump pulled in at the last minute and bombed, shot those huge bombs down, those passages to the nuclear sites in Iran. So we'll see how long that's going to hold. Okay, we'll see. So far, it's a lot of conjecture in the beginning. Obviously, surveillance is going to be key. I'm not in the military. I don't have the latest update on that. Oh, and speaking about that, I'm sure I might have brought this up or you guys have heard about Pete Hegseth. And I'll remind myself about Caroline Leavitt as well in the White House. But Pete Hegseth with all of the news reporters, the journalists, he's only wanting to keep a few around that will only talk about what he wants to say, what the Pentagon wants to put out, but really what Pete Hegseth wants to let out. Of course, Mr. Signal Chat couldn't keep his act together. He certainly let a lot of the cats out of that bag. Remember Signal Chat back then? Oh, now he wants to tighten everything up to the point of either you're in or you're out. And you might have seen clips of journalists walking out of the Pentagon a week or two ago because they're like, no, this is not what we studied and worked on our whole lives. It's not just like as if we are in Russia and we just have to follow the order here, the Pentagon's orders and their printouts. It's like, everybody, guys, administration, where are you assholes going with everything? I think we know. It's just another signal. Here's another signal. Little Miss Caroline Levitt, press secretary, obnoxious press secretary, by the way. She's just like, it's this, that, and the other thing. That's what's going to happen, and this is the way it's going to go. She's like a dude. She's like some guy ready to get into a street fight. I didn't finish up with Israel and Palestine, but I think I did touch on it. It's a house of cards still. So I'm going to backtrack and leave it at that. Sorry, because I did mention an eighth situation. I'm going to call it all of these 7, 8 global affairs situations. But getting back, Hegseth, okay. Now, Caroline Levitt, now she's getting ready to pull or make restrictions on journalists in the White House of who can come in and who can report what about what. Is it like, are you guys just being so obvious, so awful? Like, it's not even the late night, crews are they're trying to figure out what can we make fun of. Seth Meyers is making fun out of Trump redoing a bathroom. It was funny, but okay, that's funny. Caroline Levitt shutting down journalists is not funny. I mean, that's just another asshole move. Woman, man, or piece of cake or crap or toast or whatever inanimate object she seems to be turning into. So it's just the press is, he's just coming out with it. He's just doing, he hates it. And it's not fake press, Trump. You hate it because it's real. That's why you hate it, because it's getting after you. Even CBS last night, such an idiot, saying he doesn't know the CEO of Binance. That went all crazy all over the news yesterday, later than me, and into the evening with all the shows, into today. So maybe we should get on to, I'll come back to this about animals and Trump and his cognitive test. That'll lighten things up. But I'll go to something I've been dealing with a lot these days. And we'll have 2 more clips. That is I've been talking about the senators and representatives around the country. Now, I know it's funny because it's this election day, off-year election day. But I keep bringing this up every day because I think this is going to be crucial during the year. I have this list. You don't need to print it out. It's 37 pages. But you can go through all of the senators and all of the representatives and call them, best to call them between 9 and 5. Oh, and that's why it's so funny. Sometimes I just like to look. I'm a map guy. I think I was a cartographer in another life. I like maps. This is not a great map. It was like almost impossible to get anything off the internet without them wanting to sell you a map of the time zones for $49. Well, anyway, so here's a map of the time zones. Now, this might seem incredibly obvious, right? But, like me, out here in LA, I have to get the hell up because I can't let the day sort of swing by and it's like 1, 2, 3 o'clock. All of a sudden, that's 4, 5, 6 o'clock. And a lot of people in the East are already leaving their offices. So if you are out West, you have to get your ass up. Now, I stumble around in bed. I sort of slither around in bed around 3, 4 o'clock. I start to let Morning Joe play on the TV with Mika because I love Mika. She should have married me instead. But nevertheless, I hope they're happy. And so Pacific Mountain Central, right? Now you guys on the East Coast, you could it's easy to go backwards because you don't have to sort of rush yourself as much in reverse. So what I did was earlier today, because I can't do it now, I can try to maybe get somebody in the office in California because it's 4:30 at the last minute. I do have 2 names I can try to hit in California, but I did record and a couple of people in a row here. Good old Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace. We could go on about her. But she's a Repub. She's in the 1st District of South Carolina. And the next one after her will be Joe Wilson. But the representatives are all Repubs except for poor old James Clyburn. And he ain't getting any younger. So he's kicked ass. Oh, and he's in appropriations. Wow, he's one of the few guys that stands out in his committee of assignment is appropriations. Well, come on, Clyburn, let's appropriate. Just get those other people, slap these guys into gear here. So I recorded these 2 in a row instead of starting and stopping, make this a little easier on you guys. And hopefully this audio will play a little better today. I'm going to run these 2 and you'll get a sense of, and again, I deliberately speak slow and I always bring this up. You make up a script. I sort of rewrote this a little bit today. Checked it. Things are going to, over the year, constantly need to be updated. Your scripts to if you want your representatives, but to all of the red Republicans, the conservatives out there, and senators, you want to call them as much as possible, especially when something comes up that's really particular to their state in a given day, week, or month in the next year. Really hard on this for a year until we get to the midterms, right, guys? So I'm going to play what I hope will come on. This was like $50. I said this yesterday, but it's now up to $75. Here come those tariffs. Anyway, let me play this for these 2 representatives. She did not, I don't want to ruin the fun, but she did not, went to her machine. But the other representative, Joe Wilson, the assistant picked up at least. But hear how I go very slow and deliberate. And then I try to eke out what I can from the assistant on the second call. And she tries to get my zip code, of course. So they're always playing that game. Let's see what we get here. Power. And power on. There we go. And okay, Nancy Mace, 1st District, South Carolina. You're going to get answering machines, but it will allow you to go off and just go crazy. You don't have to be nervous in front of them. And it's some little assistant. I don't care about the assistants anymore. I go after them.
Hey, this is Congresswoman Nancy Mace, proudly serving the Loop 3, South Carolina's 1st Congressional District. We're eager to serve you. So to talk to a member of our staff, our office hours are 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you'd like to leave a message to have someone call you back, please do so now. Thank you and have a great day.
Oh.
Yes. Hello, Congresswoman Mace. Well, you've gotten away with your tax breaks from your cronies, but you need to extend the health care subsidies now. And now SNAP is even in shambles. Okay? This is not open up the government first and then let the health care subsidies die in committees and diversion tactics. No. It's make a real deal first and at least tacitly and publicly agree to extend them and then just open up the government back up. Where you already control the House, Senate, and White House. So you can do it. This is not a forever game where Lucy keeps pulling the football away from Charlie Brown at the last minute. No. Agree to extending the subsidies first so there will be no more games.
First.
Ma'am. Thank you.
First.
That was a minute 45. I'm going to roll right into
just dialing down the next one on the list. Next one, just bang bang. You can bang out 10 of these in a row, and then have a sip of water.
This is again Joe Wilson, 2nd District, South Carolina,
That has a
Republican.
system.
Yes, I couldn't hear you first. This is Steve. This is Congressman Wilson's office?
Yes, this is Congressman Wilson's office.
Is he in at all?
He is not in tonight. Can I take a message?
Yeah. So this is my message. I'm Steve. This is my message for him. I guess you do shorthand. Everybody does that.
See, I didn't say my last name.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you take messages like in shorthand, or do you record this? Or I mean, because I should let you know that I'm recording this.
I have to.
Do you do shorthand, or how do you do that?
It depends on the message. So if you would like to write in a longer message, I recommend going on our website.
You could do that.
If
You could go on their website and go off and write if you're more of a writer.
You could take notes on this? Okay. So here it is. Dear Congressman Wilson, well, you've gotten away with your tax breaks for your cronies, but you need to extend the health care subsidies now.
See, I'm saying
now
it's slow,
SNAP
so
is
she has
even
a
in the
chance to
shambles.
write some of it down.
This is not open up the government
I don't want to
first
rush.
and then let the healthcare subsidies die in committees and diversion tactics. No, it's make a real deal first, and then at least tacitly and publicly agree to extend them, and then just open
Not
up the
too hard.
government back up, where you already control the House, Senate, and White House. This is not a forever game, where Lucy keeps pulling the football away from Charlie Brown at the last minute. No, agree to extending the subsidies first, so there will be no more games. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Can I get your name, please?
Yes, it's Stephen Olivieri. Olivieri.
Okay, I gave it to her. I slipped.
Yeah, what city are you calling from?
Does that matter?
Yes, it's just like a mark if you're a constituent or not.
Okay, will you still get my message through if I'm not a constituent?
Yes, sir.
You will, okay.
That's
Calling
fine.
from California.
It's recorded that she said that.
Okay.
I'll get the message to our Congressman Wilson.
Okay, he's got to do it first. No more playing around.
Okay, so that was that. So you're gonna get all kinds of things, meaning all kinds of reactions. You know, somebody wanted my zip code the other day. She went for it. I slept and gave her my last name. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're just trying to do their job. They're supposed to collect as much info as they can get. They don't ask. I've never been asked yet for a phone number yet. So that'd be a little creepy. And not an email. Of course, you can email them anything you want, and then your email will show, but who cares about that either? You're just a person sending something to their office. So they all have emails, and you can find all this stuff online. And I will, in the next weeks and months, I'm just going to go through this over 200 representatives. Maybe by the midterms, I'll get through it. I'm sure hundreds of thousands of you guys are, you'll get through all kinds of these 200 names in different ways and at different times, and keep upsetting the apple cart and keep spooking them and keep letting them know that we're all aware of this. On the other side over here, the blues and some of the independents, we're watching you very carefully. So it's not like you're just going to get a bunch of little la-di-da calls from your constituents, although you hear about and you see all these town halls where the Republicans are just getting beaten up all over the country, so they're having a tough enough time themselves. So boo-hoo, they should, So now let's bop around a little bit to something just more. This is why you might want to call people about this issue. God forbid you are disabled or disabled people. I do. I almost was after my surgery. I recovered, thank God. But let me play this clip from Sorry, I'm so close to the mic. Let me play this clip of something about disability here. I just have to, oh, it's right here. Sorry, guys. And it is Trump administration weighing a major change to Social Security disability benefits. And we go back to, really? Or you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. So let's get after this.
There's a way to beat the market when
And I
buying
will
a home in
beat
Los
these
Angeles.
clips to a
I
pulp.
know because I've done it.
Really going to work
Joining
to
us
get
now,
rid of this.
ProPublica
Here we go.
reporter Eli Hager. Eli, thanks for joining us. Let's start small. Tell me about one of the people you interviewed for this story and how these new changes might affect him.
Sure, I interviewed somebody named Christopher Tinker, who's a 55-year-old
Yeah, you guys,
in
sorry.
rural Arkansas.
It's been a long day already.
The
Let's
Trump
start
administration is proposing
beginning.
changes to Social Security disability benefits that will make access to those benefits significantly harder, according to new reporting from ProPublica. One change would be to update the job listings used to determine whether a worker has the skills to do another less strenuous job instead of receiving assistance. Another change would almost entirely remove age as a criteria for eligibility, putting the applications of older workers in the same pool as younger workers. If adopted in its current form, ProPublica reports that as many as 1.5 million Americans could lose eligibility over the next decade, and workers in Republican-led states will be hit the hardest.
Well, imagine that, red states. Okay, you're going to get nailed, okay? Like, you're not getting your red states, you guys. It's like you're not getting hit hard enough with SNAP getting screwed up. It's getting massively screwed up. The food banks are getting killed. I mean, I'm in LA, in an urban sort of area where there are these different food banks in this that people can actually walk to. But you look around the country, you're seeing like 50, 100, hundreds of cars lined up 3 deep, just waiting to drive up to get, a bag to go home with. So that's not bad enough. The food banks are getting hit bad enough. Disability. See, this is this creepy thing, where they try to just get in everywhere because they're trying to scrape at everything, right down to disabled people. I mean, how sick is that? It's really sick. It's really, really sick. So anyway, that being said, I'll try to lighten this up because it's so obvious. It's so insidious and gradual. That's like that sort of like that Cobra effect, but they're not even subtle. I'm going to bring up Cobra in a minute. They're obvious and they're just plodding along like these, well, maybe slow motion dominoes, like tish, 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 one after another. And they're trying to do everything they can now in the first year. Well, you could see it, right? You could see what they're doing, and they're going to try to do whatever they can in the second year. And you know what? Let me go to that coming up about tariff arguments before the Supreme Court. And, that's going to happen like tomorrow. And let's see. I'm trying to get this like that. Let's see what we have to, what we got here.
Will the Supreme Court let Donald Trump press on with his controversial tariff policy? Here are 3 things to watch for as the justices prepare
Try and hang in on this.
high-profile oral arguments on just how far presidential power goes. I'm Josh Gerstein, a senior legal affairs reporter with Politico. Number 1, the showdown over Trump's tariff policy represents a collision between 2 central tenets of conservative legal thought in the United States. One is highly deferential to the president on matters of national security and foreign policy, and the other one is highly skeptical of federal government actions, especially executive branch unilateral actions on matters that have a dramatic impact on the economy. Whether the justices see this as a national security case or primarily as an economic case will be a strong indication of what the result is going to be. Number two, another thing to watch or listen for at the arguments is whether the key justices, the ones whose votes we think are really in play, give any hints about where they're going to come out. For this case, most lawyers think that's Chief Justice John Roberts, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, and Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Lovely.
Kavanaugh may be the most interesting. He's been very skeptical about executive actions that have a dramatic impact on the economy, but he's also someone who believes that the president should be given broad leeway on matters of national security. It's a feeling that dates back to his service in the White House for President George W. Bush during 9/11. Number three, one other thing I'll be watching for at the tariff arguments is any impact of the ongoing government shutdown. The arguments are going forward normally, but the justices are often fond of saying that if they don't get a case right, it can usually be taken care of by Congress later, fixing the statute. At the moment, Congress can't even manage to keep the lights on for the federal government, so those sorts of arguments may fall on deaf ears.
But you know what?
Will the Supreme Court...
Sorry, they are going to continue and push forward, as they will. And that's going to go into like June. This is going to go for probably months with the tariffs on and off. I mean, the tariffs are such a mess. And if they do reverse some of them, then that's going to be a whole other really ridiculous, sort of embarrassing mess, because it's like we look crazy, like altogether. It's like he's the ugly face of America right now, and they're getting the smaller countries that are trying to get deals, and they're giving him a little trinkets and money or a crown or a this, or thank you for helping not do too much with this peace agreement we already had in order, basically. It's just an ugly, ugly face. I have a good friend in Paris, and we're always loath to talk about this. And when we email each other, he's sort of like, ugh. Like, how are you surviving over there? How are you doing? We're surviving, but we look like idiots. I'm not, the country, America, looks like it's just in shambles to the rest of the country, all the rest of the world. But, let's hope they all don't think the exact same thing like that. But as far as that ugly face of Trump, in his brain, I wonder, he should be thinking about some of these things maybe for his next cognitive test. I'll leave things on a lighter note today because it's just, I have to. And hopefully tonight we're going to get some really good results. So that'll also be sunlight on chaos. So let's hope for some sunlight tonight. Sunlight tonight. But anyway, let's see if Trump were to get this in a cognitive test. If the elephant in the room is China, then is Trump a proverbial bull in a china shop? So maybe he should watch his own bullshit with China and their rare earth minerals. And hey, don't get distracted with that red cape. Okay, watch out. Watch out. Don't get stupefied, because he's smarter than you are. And try to at least not do anything too stupid with the big elephant across the water. So then another animal would be cobra. So who would that be? But you can guess, right? Putin. Think about that. Putin, or I should say that to Trump. Hey, Trump, when are you going to get this through your head that Putin is acting just like a cobra? Just sort of slow and sneaky and nasty, and comes up on you. And in this contention with Ukraine, the porcupine. Thank God Ukraine is like a porcupine. All right. And, keep poking the cobra. Poke the cobra. Make the cobra spill its juices all over the place. Yeah, let's leave it at that for the moment. Certainly on the, nothing to the Russian people, but as far as the war effort, take all the gas out, all the liquids, all of the air out of it. India, we have to stay on track with India. They might be let's call them a leopard in waiting, right? And in the end, North Korea, perhaps the Tasmanian devil. So a real little devil to deal with. No more love letters, okay? Please. They dumped troops into Ukraine's border. It's ridiculous. Okay, there's no love going on here. Okay, with him, he's a fat ass freak. So Trump, take your current bull market, and hey, maybe use it for good causes. But do not trample on the working class in the meantime. Okay, so guys, let's hope for a really great evening tonight. And let's hope there's a blue wave tonight. And then, of course, we need to absolutely have the blue wave come about in the midterms. So I'll leave you with that. And I always appreciate you guys. I'll just bring this up real quick. There's a link. I've sent it out many times, but Sunlight on Chaos, please share this, photo it with all of your friends. And it's just about getting the word out, and subscribing here is free. So don't forget to do that as well if you like the show. And I really do appreciate you guys checking in, and thanks a lot. And let's hope tonight brings about some great results. We'll find out a little later on tonight. So you guys take care. All right. Bye-bye.